Good morning and welcome to Finding God in the Dark. My name is Don Stevens, PD,
And I'm RevEv, Evan Dodge.
and today we're going to talk about The Godfather, which Evan has not seen prior to this week. So, just a few facts ahead of time. The Godfather is a 1972 American crime drama. It was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It's based on the novel of the same name by Mario Puzo. What a cast in this film, right? What an
Oh my goodness.
all-star cast. Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Robert Duvall, Diane Keaton, Talia Shire. Big names. It is the first of three films about a New York crime family, the Godfather, if you will, of crime dramas, right? Those mafia type dramas. This one in particular, the first film, focuses on the transformation of the youngest son, Michael Corleone, from being a reluctant family outsider to becoming the ruthless Don, the mafia boss of the family. Um, Before we talk about any of it's widely considered being one of the best films ever made. Before we talk about any of the kind of the theological stuff, I want to get your take on it. What did you think of it?
Well, I can certainly see why it ranks up there. Um, it was excellent. I love Ford Coppola stuff. I was having lunch with my dad yesterday. We were at Vic's in Bradley Beach. I don't know if you've ever heard of this place.
I've
Shameless
heard of it.
plug
Hmm.
for Vic's. And it's like this old Italian place that hasn't been updated since the 50s. And you walk in there. So we're like sitting in this corner booth, and it feels like it could be like a scene in a mafia movie.
Right.
And I was telling him, I said, I just watched The Godfather. I've never seen it before. He was like, never seen The Godfather before? Yeah, it's just I have some of those, and we'll explore more, I'm sure, as we move on with our series. That I have
Hmm.
these gaps in my cinema experience. So I it was great. The I was reading about Marlon Brando yesterday,
Hmm.
and he was in On the Waterfront, which I love. I think that was 54. It was in the 50s.
Right.
Streetcar Named Desire. He was in several. And then there was a real lull in his career. He was in some duds, and it was this movie that kind of catapulted him back up the
Right.
top of the acting world. He won a Golden Globe. I think he won an Oscar. Um, so, um, so it was good. It's always interesting for me to watch these movies and then to watch like a similar kind of an action crime movie today.
Hmm.
And to see the staying power of a film like this in a world of CGI and effects, and
Right.
I'm sure leaps and bounds in development of cinematography and cameras and technology. It holds its own. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just incredible.
Yeah, because
Uh,
there's almost no special effects in this film. I mean, it's all practical, even
yeah,
shootouts or whatever. I mean, it's all kind of practical effects. It's nothing, no CGI at all.
right.
It
Through, I would have a hard time identifying any kind of special effects used in the movie. It's
Yeah, well, other than the
maybe
bullet
the
squibs and
explosion
things
or
like that.
something. Yeah.
But and that brings me to a thought I had. Like, it'd been a while since I had watched it. But the soundtrack and the cinematography really jump, particularly the composed shots of like New York City streets
Yes, yes,
were
yes,
just so beautiful. I mean,
yes.
really well composed. They,
And the scenes, like the wedding scene toward the beginning of the movie, right? I mean,
Mhm.
all these people, all the singing, all the dancing. And I love contrasts in movies. So I look for, how does the director, writer, um uh, how are they employing contrast, right? So you have like the loud boisterous wedding with lots of people, lots of music, and then those
Mhm.
cut scenes to Vito Corleone like inside in his den.
Right.
It's quiet, it's dark, there's just a few people there, they're speaking in more hushed tones. So
Right.
you have like and that's kind of, I think, a theme throughout the movie, right? There's like the joy of family and the excitement and celebration here and there, but then like coupled with like these moments of just ruthlessness.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
Coppola does that really well.
Yeah, and I mean, particularly in that wedding scene and those cut scenes into into the interior, the context there being that, as the mafia don, he can't refuse a favor on his daughter's wedding day,
Hmm. Hmm.
And so the things that people, come and ask him for, you know,
Right, right, right.
it's
And uh, what was I going to say about that? Well, yeah, well, people come in and it's like they got to pay homage to him
right,
on one hand, but that's like the suck up for the favor.
right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting, but I think this whole film has that kind of interesting juxtaposition of, like, okay, it's about family, right? And it's about family taking care of each other. But the way that they do that
Yes.
is done primarily in such a either an underhanded or a violent way that it's almost shocking to the system,
Hmm. That's how
Um,
I felt about my favorite series of all time, The Sopranos.
right,
I
right.
mean, you kind of James uh, Tony's character for a lot of the seasons, at least for me, you really sympathize with him. Like
Mhm,
he's likable. And I
mhm,
think in the series, if people have seen the series, it kind of for me reaches a point where it's like, wow, this guy's not redeemable,
right,
you know. But you this notion of family. He's a family man. He loves his family, even though that often plays out in toxic ways. But he loves them.
right,
Um, and and also in this movie too, you see it in The Sopranos. You see it in The Godfather. Like there's a real code of conduct and a code of honor
right,
among the family. There's just certain things you don't do.
right,
And so it's like here are folks who, on the one hand, you see them engage in these morally reprehensible acts, but yet so often they're appealing to a moral code.
right.
You
Yeah, yeah,
know?
there absolutely is a code. It's interesting you brought up The Sopranos because I don't remember who I heard it from, but it's been said like shows like The Sopranos, movies like Goodfellas and Casino and things like that would not exist were it not for The Godfather.
Mm, you can see that.
Because The Godfather really set that time. Of course, in a negative way, it's also, set the tone for the way that people look at Italian Americans, you know. There's
Mm,
also that sort of thing. I
mm,
mean, I have a friend who's Italian, and we joke about it sometimes, like hey, what are you going to do about it? He'll say, "I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse." You
uh-huh.
know,
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
so
Yep.
So yeah, there is that again, and that's that juxtaposition of the good and the evil, and that really
Right.
plays into the theology that
Mm-hmm.
is in this, right? Theologically, the passage that strikes me is from Romans. It's Romans chapter 6, 12, and 13. Therefore, do not let sin exercise dominion in your moral bodies to make you obey their passions. No longer present your members to sin as instruments of wickedness, but present yourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life, and present your members to God as instruments of righteousness. I mean, this speaks directly to the whole character arc of Michael, the
Mm,
youngest son of Vito, the Don, the Godfather, right? Because for Michael, when you meet him at the beginning of the movie, he doesn't really want anything to do with the family business, right?
right.
It's like, yeah, that's just my family. That's just what they are. I'm not like that,
Yeah.
you know. But one incident causes this whole slide for him from morality into becoming eventually the Don, the
Right.
Godfather, you know?
Right.
And what to me was really striking, and again, we're going to go to that juxtaposition, right? That, two odd things at once
Right.
was the completion of Michael's transformation
Mm-hmm.
was when he became the godfather to his sister's child
Yes, at the baptism.
at the baptism, right?
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the near the end of the film. And while he is there taking those vows to become the godfather, it's interspersed with scenes of men from his family,
Right.
assassinating the heads of the other families in New
That
York.
he has instructed them to do that.
He's told them to do, right? So
Right.
as he's becoming a godfather, he's also becoming the godfather.
Yeah, yeah. And
It's
I
a
think it's
really
powerful. Like
powerful
there's
moment.
the priest is asking, do you renounce the devil and all his, I think it's pomps in
Right.
that liturgy, or all his works, all of his effects. And yes, he says yes. And
Yes.
it's a cut scene, where
And then it cuts to,
massacring.
this guy's killing other guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he follows this up like that's probably the climax of the film, but then the denouement, the kind of finishing part is making his wrapping up and making his transformation complete is a very small act, but it's him lying to his wife about his business,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Where he has had his sister's husband killed because he beat her.
Right.
But his wife said, did you do this? I mean, is this you? Did you do it? And he says, don't ask me about my business. She says, but I just want to know, did you do it? And he comes and he says, no, I didn't do it. And that's like, even though that is just this kind of calm moment, it really says the transformation is complete.
Mm-hmm.
He is
Yes.
now who he said he was never going to be.
Would you say it's the scene where Vito is shot at the fruit stand and then they have to go into hiding? That's when he starts to change?
No, I think his change is when he decides that he's going to that. So yeah, I mean, in a sense, that sort of initiates that change, right? He's going to avenge that. He's going to shoot what's his Scalzone, I think is the other guy, and the cop. So he's going to meet them for dinner.
What's this cop's name? He was on M.
Murphy or Murphy or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was that.
Yeah, that's right. When he meets them for dinner, they hide the gun. Then
Right, they hide the gun in the bathroom. So
yeah.
I think that's the act that starts the slide, and then the slide is complete at the end of the film when he lies to his wife and says.
But interestingly, though, when Vito is shot, and then when they all go into hiding, and he's in Italy for what, a year, 2 years?
Yeah, more than a year.
He has a whole other family.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think like at least
He was assassinated.
well, right,
Yeah.
yes, but he's got like, I don't know, the seeds of living a double life, which I think really is part and parcel with the way that mafia life is constructed in the movie.
Right.
You're living double lives, multiple lives,
Right.
depending on your context. That starts to happen there.
Yeah, and I think there's also a sense that could have been a redemption arc for Michael as well, right? He's in Sicily, he starts another family. If he had stayed there, if no one ever knew where he was, and he had stayed there, he starts a whole other life, and he's not, that one act doesn't drag him down, doesn't make him the Godfather eventually. That one act of avenging his father's shooting, right? But because of the vengeance, because someone went after him and killed his wife in Sicily, it brings him back. What is, oh, geez.
Yeah.
Is it Al Pacino? Is it Scarface where he goes, I keep trying to get out and they keep dragging me back in, right?
Keep pulling me back in. That's Scarface. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that idea, right?
Yeah. And there's this, and I think there's something religious or theological here too. I got the sense in the movie, I saw this in The Sopranos as well. There's an inevitability about the arc of the story.
Right.
So, spoiler alert, I guess, for The Sopranos, in the penultimate episode, all of the, so, Sal, Steve Skirmish, what's his name's character, all the people, his confidant, his capos, everybody around Tony starts to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I watched it, I've seen the series completely through 3 times. It's like, this is inevitable. It was always going to end this way.
Right.
And then of course the final episode where I think the producer years later kind of confirmed, yes, the idea is that Tony is shot,
Right.
in that diner. You're like, it's inevitable.
But they don't show you that.
They don't show you it, but
Don't
I think for
believe
David Chase, that was the intended perception from the audience. But even with Michael Corleone, like, even from the beginning of the movie, you're like, this is inevitable that he's going to become the Don.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, well,
so
because Sonny didn't have the temperament for it. And I don't remember, Michael Duvall's character was their
well,
concierge.
Robert Duvall, he really couldn't be, right, because I think he was Irish.
He wasn't a blood brother. He was an adoptive brother, if you will.
Yes.
So,
I don't think in the mafia world he could become the Don.
no. So yeah. and you saw what happened once Sonny was in charge, things went off the rails.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so,
But did you feel that too in the movie? Like, there's an inevitability to the
I don't know.
character's
I think
trajectory.
initially when you meet Michael, I didn't see that. But
Well, so at the wedding, he says something interesting to what's her Diane Keaton's
Diane
character,
Keaton his wife's character,
where
his second
he
wife character.
yeah. So he's not been honest with her about what his family does then
Right.
when he brings her back.
Right.
So again, maybe it's some of that. He's innocent. He's embarrassed about what they do. Who knows? But like, the seeds of not being honest with your intimate partner is there from the beginning. And I see it in The Sopranos, like, the dishonesty and the duplicity starts on your most intimate personal relationships, and then it just kind of spreads out like a ripple effect. Right?
Yeah.
And so maybe because I was kind of seeing this through the lens of The Sopranos, which probably isn't fair, but at the beginning you're like, wow, okay, there's already just a little bit of deception and lying here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this brings it back to the theology, right? Like, if those seeds go unexamined and you don't deal with those little things when they're present, very
Right.
quickly they blossom into much greater problems.
Yes,
And
it's some of our conservative colleagues would say you let the devil get a foothold, right?
sure,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
that you let the devil get a foothold.
I wouldn't disagree with it, certainly.
Yeah.
It's a and I think that's what makes it sort of a cautionary tale if you're looking for, you know, he thinks, I think he aspires to be something else. He aspires to
Sure.
be, separate from the family. He's gone off and been a war hero, etc. But ultimately the family business just pulls him in, and that's what he becomes. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's challenging at that point.
It is, yeah. So I'm eager to watch part 2, because what I've read and what I've been told is
Two's
that
better
this
than
is
one.
that this is one of the rare instances where a sequel is better than the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I thought the first was phenomenal, so I can't wait to see the second one.
It was funny because I pulled, I had my youngest son going through my DVDs because nothing's organized since moving last year, of course. And he finds it, but he found two first,
Okay.
right? But so he took out both, but he says to me the other day, Dad, did you watch The Godfather? Yeah. Oh, I can't watch it. You're 11, son. Not yet. Not quite yet.
That's funny.
Because he watched
Oh,
Akira with
Jesus.
me, so he thinks
Okay.
now he's gonna he's gonna get to watch all the movies. Not this one, boy.
Not, yeah, not this one. No, but it was really good.
Yeah,
It was really good.
it's it's absolutely, I think it deserves the reputation it's gained of being one of the best films ever made. It really is. And like any good film, it is just so layered with emotion and depth of meaning, and it's yeah. You can watch it several times and I think see a
Yeah.
different movie every time. So
Yeah. Oh, I definitely got that sense.
so
It's a
that's awesome. All
Yeah,
right.
it was pretty
So
good.
The Godfather's a thumbs up.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, I loved it.
so now we move on,
Mhm.
and now the question is, what's next?
All right, so I was thinking about what I might recommend to you, and
Hmm.
so have you seen? I'm just looking up to make sure I get the title right. So hold on. Have you seen? It's an animated film. Have you seen The Secret of Kells?
That doesn't even ring a bell.
Okay. All right.
The, s-
So
the secret of is it anime or is it
no, no, it's not anime. I mean, it's anime adjacent, I would say.
okay? Is it
Yeah.
Kel?
K Kells.
I see it. 2009. It is on Google Play, Amazon Prime, Fandango at home. Okay.
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 It's good.
It's good.
I really like it. So and this is one where I think up until now a lot of our maybe, maybe all of our movies have not probably been great for the whole family, right? I mean, you wouldn't
Right.
want your 11-year-old watching The Godfather with you. I wouldn't recommend my 9-year-olds watch The Big Lebowski.
Right.
Um, but this one is
Not unless
something.
you want them to learn how to say the F word.
Well, they'd have 230 some opportunities
Exactly.
to hear it in the movie. Um, so it's this one is something that the whole family can watch,
Cool.
and it is overtly and also covertly religious. So
Cool.
I'll
All
leave it
right.
at that. Yeah, The
All
Secret of
right.
Kells.
All right. So I sent you the AFI top 100. Did you get that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that no, we don't have to work from that. It was just a jumping off point. Um,
I'm certain
talk
you've seen
about
way
if we
more of
talk
those than I
about
have.
more family oriented movies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's one that I love a lot and have used a lot for preaching illustrations. Wonder if you've ever seen Despicable Me.
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Oh,
Then not
I
that.
love all of those.
I think
Yes.
those really strike home for me, and this is a complete aside, obviously, but those really strike home for me because it's kind of the bad guy and adopting these little girls and how they change his life. And
Mm-hmm.
not that I would consider myself having been a bad guy, but all four of my kids are through adoption.
Right.
And so, how they have changed my life, it just strikes home for me. It's
Yeah, yeah.
a film like that. But all
So
right.
I'm glancing at the just really quick. I'm glancing at the AFI top 100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Casablanca, never seen it. Gone with the Wind, never seen it.
Hmm.
Lawrence of Arabia, never seen it. The Graduate, never seen it. Schindler's List, haven't seen it.
Shoot,
Singing in the
whoa, whoa,
Rain,
stop, stop. You never saw Schindler's List.
no,
Oh man.
no. Singing
Oh
in the
man, that's a
Rain,
powerful
haven't seen
movie.
it. Some Like It Hot, never seen it. The African Queen, no. Chinatown, no. So, yeah, there's a lot of these. A few I've seen, like I've seen Citizen Kane. I've seen The Godfather now. I've seen The
Hmm.
Wizard of Oz on the waterfront. So, that's like I said, I told you I have big gaps
Okay.
in like classic cinema from the 40s, 50s, 60s. There's a lot
Sure.
I haven't seen.
And we don't have to live there as far as the podcast goes. We don't have to live in those places, but those are
No, but
it's a good resource. I mean, look, if we're going to
yeah,
talk about movies, we should have a working knowledge at least of a lot of those top 100 films, right?
yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely.
and some of them I've seen a few that, like, I've seen Gone with the Wind. That's been a long time since I saw it, but that sort of thing. I've seen yeah, Schindler's List. If you haven't seen Schindler's List, you should probably prepare, because I'm gonna throw that at you next time. That is,
Okay, so here's the crazy thing. I actually have the DVD.
it's a
Never
powerful
seen it.
movie, man, and particularly with some of the stuff that's going on in the world
Okay.
today. Okay, that without revealing a whole lot about things I see you posting about on social media,
Mm-hmm.
you would appreciate this film. So,
Okay.
but that's
All
not
right.
this week. This week we're going to watch the series.
Secret of
We'll
Kells.
talk about that next week. We
Awesome.
also, for those of our who are watching along with us, we are going to have, there are going to be more of us. There's at least one other person that I have contacted who is going to be joining us now and again. So, I think might be changing the title. It'll still be Finding God in the Dark, but it might be just, instead of two Methodist pastors, maybe a Methodist perspective or something like that.
Nice. Okay.
So,
That's good. That's good.
so that way, because the colleague that we're bringing in is also a Methodist.
Right. Right. Excellent. And I think that's good. And that way, if one week one of us can't make it or a couple can't make it, we can
Right.
just keep
And
moving
we
on
we can
with
we'll have a
our
little bit of
cast
a
of
rotating
characters.
cast of characters, and maybe the key word there is characters. But anyway,
Well, especially for you.
all right, my friend. Um, Folks, as we say every week, keep on finding God in the dark. We'll see you all next week. Take care and
Peace
God
out.
bless. Bye.